Sorry.
I can see you. Let me see if I.
Weird.
You
Okay.
know what?
Well, I can see
Hmm.
your picture.
I think I have the camera on. Turn off. Let me hang out and try joining again.
Okay. There you are.
Oh, good.
I see a little dog too.
Oh gosh, I know. She keeps running around here with me.
So how's it going? It's Friday. Happy Friday.
I know. I'm so glad. I'm looking forward to the weekend.
And I don't have. I'm not actually working right now. I'm on maternity leave, but I still totally understand what Friday means. And I
Yeah,
obviously I'm at home with the baby all day. And I'm like, that's when I get to have my husband for 72 hours straight, which is just amazing. So
that's a week.
yeah. So so first of all, I want to ask you, how's life with a dog? Is it awesome and amazing?
You know, she's pretty easy, I have to say. She's a year old, so we're not dealing with all the puppy spasms.
Right.
So it's been pretty good so far.
Are the kids adjusting well?
They love her. They love her. I mean, the biggest issue is them fighting over whose turn it is to walk her or carry her
Uh,
or whatever. They love her.
Yeah, that's what
It's
we're
cute.
planning on doing shortly. We have the new baby, but we figure once he's a little older, we're gonna break down and
I
get a
know.
dog.
I
So
know.
I've been following your experience. I'm like, oh, I'm totally gonna do that. That whole doggy speed dating thing you did, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So I want to go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
But basically, just so you have some background, obviously you know that I write, and a lot of my writing has to deal with kind of race relations and anti-racism activism.
Yep.
And I'm doing a series right now, an interview series of which you are a part, on it's called Preaching to the Choir. It's basically about how a lot of activists, we kind of operate in our own circles where we're most comfortable. But
Mhm.
as we branch out and start to talk to other people outside of those circles, I find that we're getting more dimensionality to our arguments and our issues. And we're seeing more of the complexity of the things that we're fighting for.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you in particular because you have a very unique position when it comes to understanding, the black race with your two sons, and also being a white woman in Orange County. Like, some people realize that the complexity of living in Orange County to begin with, let
Yeah.
alone let alone with a non-traditional, family. But I want to
Yeah.
start. Let's rewind a little bit. Tell me a little bit about yourself for my readers and viewers who don't necessarily know yet. I know that you write for Babbel. You've been featured on Huffington Post. You're like the head woman in charge at Rage Against the Minivan, and you also have Chief Post. So, what's
Yeah.
all? If you could summarize yourself really quickly, what would you kind of describe yourself as?
I'm all over the place. That's how I would describe myself. Yeah, I got my fingers in a lot of different things online. But definitely, I think topics I cover most are parenting, faith, and race,
Right.
and sometimes all of those things.
Right. And so at Rage Against the Minivan, I know that your audience is primarily like white women. And I posted a piece there recently, which I was really happy at the response it received. I thought it was really, really positive. But would you say that
Yeah.
most of your audience also are parents of transracially adopted children? Is that kind of your target, or is it just kind of a broad swath?
You know, I think it's pretty broad. I mean, I definitely think I have a lot of readers who have adopted transracial. I also think I have a pretty broad spectrum. I know I have people who aren't even parents that read. So, yeah, it's an interesting mix. But I was posted and it was shared like 1,000 times, which is awesome. So
Wow.
thank
I had no idea.
you.
Thank you for sharing it. And so,
Yeah.
you've done a lot. Like you said, you write a lot about parenting, and you're kind of a resource for a lot of other moms. What would you say has been kind of one of your most valuable lessons in parenting? What's one of the things that you like? This is a nugget that if I could give any parent out there, this is what I would give them.
I think my most, important learning is to parent in a way that fits your own temperament and your own family. That there's no right way to parent. There's no book. There's no flow chart. You can't look at someone else online or read a book by someone else and assume that the way they do it is the way you should do it. That I feel like we all instinctively, most of us have been given what we need to parent, and while we can learn some tips and tricks along the way, like we don't need to change ourselves or morph into a different kind of person to be a good mom.
I agree. I totally agree. And I think oftentimes we feel like we do because we see all these images of what a mom's supposed to be like. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna be that. Problem is
Yes.
those aren't your kids, and that's not your life.
Yeah.
So you
Exactly.
can't be that. But
Yeah.
I'm honestly gonna that was like the most crucial question I'm gonna ask you because I'm gonna get into a lot of serious stuff.
Okay.
Um, I want to talk about specifically about your family and some of the feelings and stuff that you have and the things that you experience. So I know that you have two children from birth and two children. Are they both from Haiti? Both of your sons are from
No.
Haiti?
No. My first child, my first, was adopted from foster care from LA County.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, and then we had two biological children. The last child I had, the family is from Haiti.
Got it. Okay. So your oldest is from here, Los Angeles, and then the middle two were from birth, and the last your son is that's Jack stuff, right?
Jeff is the oldest.
Got it. Okay. And what's your youngest's name?
He's the youngest. He's actually the second oldest, but he was the last who came to the family, so it's a little
Oh my
confusing.
gosh. Okay.
Yeah,
Now my head's exploding.
I know. He was adopted. He was 3.5 when he came home. So
Um,
his name's Kembe,
got
but
it.
he's actually the same age as my biological daughter, and then there's the youngest is another biological daughter.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So now that we've ironed all that out,
Yes.
so how do you feel about transracial adoption and kind of what are your thoughts on the way society views transracial adoption? And I'm asking because I'm neutral on it. I don't have a interest either way. I think it's amazing that kids can find families who love them. I don't care what the family looks like or where they come from. If it's a loving family, I think that's the most important thing. But I know that when it comes to adoption, there's a lot of stigma associated with adoption. Um, can you share some of your experience with society's views of transracial adoption?
Yeah, I mean, I think people have a lot of varying views, and I probably fall somewhere in the middle. I think you've got people who think love is all you need, that's the most important thing, and love is colorblind, so just adopt any race, it doesn't matter at all. And I don't really believe that because I think race does matter. I mean, we live in a racially charged society, and while love may be colorblind, our society is not at all.
Yeah, no.
So I'm coming from that perspective. On the other hand, you have people who think, a child should never be adopted into another race's home because they'll never learn to, a black child will never learn to be a black adult. And it would be better if they were left in the community, even if that meant maybe being in foster home. And I don't really believe that either. I think and hope that if I'm really intentional, that my kids can have a really secure identity as black men as they grow up. That's important, really important to me. Do I think I can do that by myself? No. But I have the humility to know that I'm going to need to outsource and, takes a village kind of thing
Yeah.
to help them with that. So I understand the critique of transracial adoption. I really do. I don't. I'm not offended when people question, how that's going to be for a kid. But at the same time, I understand it.
Got it. And I totally 100% believe you when you say that you outsource because I fell in love with you on Facebook when you put a picture up of your son. I think it was Jafta getting his hair cut. And you said you were getting him lined up for the holidays or something like that. And I was like, I told my husband, I said, oh my gosh, I love her. Because you know, it's one of those things that the barbershop is a quintessential hub in the Black community. It really is a place where a lot of not just Black men, but Black women at the beauty shop. It's kind of integral to, you know, kind of our upbringing. We have life that you experience in the barbershop and in the beauty shop, and the fact that you took your son and you're like, oh, got to get lined up. I'm like, okay, she's awesome. So kudos to you
Well, I
for
mean,
that.
exactly like you said, it is a huge, you know, it is a huge community hub, and it's like, would it be easier for me to just buy some clippers and do it at home? For
Right.
sure. Like that experience for them, like that's one of the times in the month where they're not in the minority. You know,
Right.
they are, they're in the majority.
Right.
Everyone there looks like that. So
Right.
I feel like, why wouldn't I take that opportunity? You know.
I think it's amazing. I think that's really intelligent of you and very conscious of you, realizing that that's important to, you know, your son. So talking about the minority status, and you said that that's the one time that your sons are not in the minority. How do you? I mean, have you had to have those conversations about being in the minority? I mean, because I find it incredibly intriguing because we're in Orange County, which is predominantly white, which we know. There are some areas that are predominantly Latino, predominantly Black, a very large niche of the Vietnamese community here. But obviously, there are most places that are predominantly white. How do you navigate those conversations specifically with your sons? How does that work?
I'm just really direct with them. I mean, I really want to create an environment where they can talk about that stuff. You know, so I check in with them a lot, you know, and I'll say, hey, how are you feeling about, you know, I know you're, you know, the only or one of the only Black kids in your class, and how are you feeling about that? And I'll check in and say, hey, do you want more experiences where you're, you know, where you're not going to be the only Black child? And to tell you the truth, so far they don't care that much. But I know that might change as they get older. So I always want to be checking back. I'll say things like, okay, we're going to do Cub Scouts. We can do it at the church, and then, you know, it'll be mostly Black kids, or we can do it at your school, and, you know, that'll be your friends from school. And right now it's like, well, we want to do school because we know those kids. But I'm going to keep asking, because maybe when they're teenagers, they're going to feel differently, you know.
Right.
So I just checking in, keep the lines of communication really open.
That's awesome. So you previously also mentioned color blindness and how, you know, love can be colorblind, but society just isn't. Public spaces are not colorblind. So do you think that this recent push, the buzzword is post-racial, and we're all post-race, or we should be colorblind? Do you think colorblindness should be a goal, or is it?
No.
Is it a What are your thoughts on colorblindness?
I think colorblindness is total denial of, and I don't think we're post-racial at all. So, you know, I think colorblindness is a nice idea, but at the same time, it's not a great idea, because if we're colorblind, then what I'm really saying is I don't want to know your culture.
Right.
I don't want to know, you know, what, how you feel about your identity. I don't want to know the whole of you.
Right.
I want to know parts of you.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think colorblind is a great ideal, and in fact, I think sometimes, you know, colorblindness could be latent racism. It's just a way of not acknowledging somebody's race.
I agree. So in terms of adoption, right? Is there a certain amount of racial barrier when it comes to adoption? You're talking to somebody who obviously doesn't have a background in understanding how adoption works in America, but are there any like racial issues for people who are interested when it comes to adopting children here and abroad?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the biggest racial issue is really identifying your own community and your social circles and your ability to have your child mirrored in society. We use that word mirroring a lot in adoption, and what mirroring means is, will my son see themselves reflected back to them?
Right.
You know, will they know other Black people? Will
Right.
they have mentors who look like them? And if you can't provide mirroring, again, just if you can't provide mirroring in your life, if you go to the grocery store and they won't see another person with their own race on a given, or what have you,
Right.
You might want to think about that before adopting. You might want to think about relocating, or maybe not adopting transracial.
Makes sense. I totally understand that, and it's something that obviously I haven't thought about before. But now that you're vocalizing it, it seems logical that would be a component of understanding life for your kids. It's difficult enough having to navigate, some of the other issues that come along with, adoption. But then having to deal with, okay, I have this loving family. This is so wonderful. I love my family. And then I go outside and I don't see anyone who looks like me. I imagine that would be extremely difficult.
Absolutely. And it is difficult. And I think we have adoptees now who are adults who are sharing their own experience. And they're saying that, and they're saying, yes, I had a loving home and I love my parents. They were wonderful, but this hurt me. And this was hurtful this way. So.
Awesome. That's interesting. I find that it's unfortunate that that's not something that people think about more from the perspective of seeing images of your own, seeing positive role models and people who resemble you who are doing great things. I think oftentimes that's kind of overlooked as something that's important because it's so easy to say, well, no, you have parents, you're fine. But it's like, well, especially if my parents don't look like me, that's great. I love them. They're awesome. But what about the rest of the people who look like me? Where are they? I think that's incredibly, incredibly interesting. So there are people obviously who want to know more about transracial adoption, and I think it's a beautiful thing when people adopt. I think that's just like one of the most selfless things you could ever do. And if there was something you wanted people to know about, transracial families or even interracial families or non-traditional families, what would it be?
Someone who was thinking of adoption or just the general public?
General public.
That's a good question. I think I would want them to know that, our family is a real family. Like, we have the same struggles. It's weird because transracial adoption is something I'm always thinking about race and yet kind of never thinking about race at the same time.
Right.
And I have the same worries and concerns every single day that every other mom does. Are we overscheduled? How are we doing at school? Are we eating well?
Right.
Parenting stuff. It's the same child. Mother dynamic. Are you being respectful? Are you being honest? How are we getting along? Do we have enough time together? We're a totally regular family, and then we have this kind of undercurrent of looking at the racial stuff. But it's a factor in our family, but it's not the defining factor of our family. For the most part, we're just a typical family dealing with typical family things.
Right. And would you say that the idea of traditional is antiquated? I mean, do you think that maybe that term, I feel like, this is me interjecting obviously, but I feel like sometimes words like traditional have taken on kind of they're like dirty words now. Like so many people are not traditional that it's almost used as a weapon against folks who are not whatever would fall into that, category, that box. So how do you feel about, the idea about traditional families? Should we even use that term anymore?
No, I don't think we should, because if we define traditional as being like racially matched, that's just, we're not post-racial, but we're moving. Things are moving. Definitely, you just look at the census. Like, there are way more interracial marriages. Traditional, I do think that word might be antiquated because the new family doesn't look like all white, all black. It's that, and then it's all different.
Right. So for Kristen Howerton, who is taking over the universe, who has her hands in every pot and is doing everything, wearing every hat, what's next for you? So what's your next big thing? I'm trying to get the scoop here. Like, is there a book in the works? Is there like a movie? Like, what's
No movie.
next?
I think I'll write a book someday. I don't think it's the right season with my family's age. I still have one kid in school. She's home part of the time. My word for 2014 is actually no. My word is no. Sounds weird. But I'm trying to slow down a little bit. So my next big thing hopefully is better boundaries. Better balance, more downtime, which is not super exciting, except for me. But yeah, I mean, someday I would love to write a book, but when the timing is right.
Awesome. Those are all of my questions, and I'm excited to be able to feature you in this series because I feel like it adds a dimension that so many people just overlook and just don't really pay any attention to, which is a blended family. You know, the idea of the blended family is just so foreign to people. Did you have any questions for me? Any one last thing you wanted to say or share? Anything that you thought would be important for, for the interview series?
I don't think so.
Awesome. That means I did a good job. I left you speechless.
Yeah, no, those are really good questions, actually. It's good.
Well, I'm really happy that you took the time out with us today. I think our viewers and our readers and I just absolutely adore you. And I'll have this up. It's already up on my YouTube channel, but I'm gonna do a little spotlight on you next week. So I'll be emailing you and let you know when that's gonna go live.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
You have a great weekend, and thank you for taking time with me today.
You too, Jen. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.